Today, we're diving into something that every single one of us has felt: sorrow. It's a feeling that connects us all, right? But the way we understand it, the way we get through it, that can be totally different. We're going to look at this through two really fascinating lenses: modern psychology and Islamic tradition. Let's get into it.
So let me just start with this question, one that I think we've all wrestled with at some point. Is crying a sign of weakness? Just keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this, because the answers we're going to find are pretty surprising. And just to get a sense of the scale here, look at this number: 264 million. According to the latest research, that's how many people around the world are affected by depression. So you see, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's a massive global health issue, and for so many people, it's a very, very personal reality.
All right, so here's what we've got lined up. We'll start by talking about sorrow as something we all share. Then we'll get into the different ways we talk about it. We'll look at why it's so important to validate our tears, explore some ways to get through the pain, and finally, see where science and faith actually come together.
You know, there isn't a single person on this planet who won't experience deep sorrow at some point. It's part of the deal of being human. So the real challenge isn't about trying to avoid it, but about figuring out how to understand it and, move through it in a healthy way.
And while that feeling is universal, the words we use for it, the way we frame our pain, man, that really matters. It shapes our whole experience. We're going to look at two big frameworks that define it in different, but as you'll see, sometimes similar ways.
Okay, so first up, the psychological view. What's really key here is the distinction it makes. You've got sadness, which is seen as a totally normal, passing emotion. It's a reaction to something that happened. You lost something, you're disappointed. But then you have clinical depression, and that's a whole different thing. It's a mood disorder, it's deeper, it's persistent, and it often has to do with your brain chemistry. The big marker is that persistent loss of hope that isn't always tied to one specific thing. And that distinction is absolutely crucial, because it helps us know when sadness has become something more serious, something that might need professional help. Now, let's switch gears and look at the Islamic framework. The distinction here isn't clinical, it's spiritual. Huzn, that's grief for sadness, is seen as completely natural. It's a valid human response to loss. The real spiritual red flag is something called ya'as, which is despair. That's when you give up on divine mercy. It's the belief that help will never, ever come. So, you see the difference? The feeling of sadness itself isn't the issue. The real danger is losing all hope.
And this is a perfect real-world example. In Islamic history, there's a whole period called Am al-Huzn, literally the year of sorrow. This was a time when the Prophet Muhammad was going through this intense, profound grief after losing both his wife and his uncle, who were his biggest supporters. The very fact that this time of deep huzn is acknowledged and named shows that even the most revered figures in faith aren't exempt from deep, painful sadness. It makes the experience valid for everyone.
So that brings us to the big question, right? What do we do with these feelings? This next part is all about validating our tears, about understanding the real danger of bottling things up, and the incredible power that comes from just acknowledging our own pain.
You know, modern science is super clear on this. There's the term for it: expressive suppression. It's when you try to just push down or hide your emotions. And what the research shows again and again is that it doesn't work. The feelings don't go away. Instead, it's linked to way higher stress levels, and in the long run, can lead to much bigger problems, like anxiety, depression, and even physical issues.
Now just take in this statement for a second. When the Prophet Muhammad's baby son Ibrahim passed away, he cried, openly. And when people were surprised, this is what he said. He's fully acknowledging his pain, right? The eyes are shedding tears, the heart is grieved. It's real. But at the exact same time, he's holding on to his faith. I mean, what a powerful model for healthy grieving that is.
So from this point of view, tears aren't weakness at all. They're actually a sign of mercy and compassion. The Prophet's own example teaches that crying is a natural, totally valid way to express pain, and it has absolutely nothing to do with having weak faith. It just validates the physical side of our emotional pain.
Okay, so we've established that sadness is normal, and expressing it is healthy. So now what? How do we actually build up that resilience? Well, in this section, we're going to see how both psychology and faith offer some really powerful tools for navigating through that pain.
So in psychology, one of the most powerful strategies is something called cognitive reappraisal. You can think of it as meaning making. It's not about pretending something bad didn't happen, it's about consciously changing the story you tell yourself about it, which in turn changes how you feel. So instead of thinking, I completely failed, you reframe it as, okay, that was rough, but now I know exactly what I need to work on.
And this isn't just a nice idea. The evidence for it is solid. Study after study shows that people who get into the habit of cognitive reappraisal, who actively try to reframe tough situations, they genuinely experience fewer long-term symptoms of sadness and anxiety. It's like you're building a new muscle for your mind, one that helps you bounce back.
This table is where it all really clicks into place. It's amazing. Look at the parallels. First up, validation. Both worlds agree. Acknowledging your feelings is essential. Psychology warns that suppressing them leads to burnout. Islam validates grief through the stories of its prophets. Then there's patience. Psychology might call it resilience or grit. Islam calls it sabr, which is not just waiting around. It's an active, hopeful kind of endurance. And then look at the danger zone. Both systems point to the exact same thing, sliding into hopelessness. Whether you call it nihilism, apathy, or despair, it's the belief that things will never get better. It's just fascinating how these two very different ways of thinking arrive at such similar truths.
So what do we do with all this? Where does it leave us? Well, in this final section, we're going to pull all these threads together and see just how much common ground there really is between this ancient wisdom and our modern understanding of the mind. So, the bottom line is pretty clear. The points where they meet are powerful. 1. Sadness is a normal, valid part of being human. 2. Letting yourself feel the pain is so much healthier than pushing it down. 3. Both systems warn that the real danger isn't the sadness itself, but that feeling of complete and utter hopelessness. And finally, both offer a way forward, a path to resilience by actively changing our perspective.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought to chew on. We tend to put these worlds, science and faith, in completely separate boxes. But everything we've looked at today suggests they might be speaking the same language about what it means to be human. So the real question is, how can we use the wisdom from both to get a richer, deeper understanding of the human heart, in all its sorrow and in all its strength?